We're live. A little earlier than normal tonight. Tonight we're starting our new series on Goose Rhythm. It's going to be an instructional for calling the old Canada Goose. Now, the first session today, there's not a lot of you guys on here right now. I'm probably still working. But the good thing about all of these, they're going to go onto the YouTube channel as well. So if you miss a live session, you can hop on YouTube channel, watch it, look at, just search Big Sean. Well, there's two Big Seans. There's a little tiny black guy, and there's me, the original OG Big Sean. So you can search us, you'll find my channel, and then you'll be able to see all these daily live vlogs on there as well. What's up, guys? What's up, Seth, Ross? Today's going to be an introduction to what I'm going to do and cover the next 10 days. The first 10 days is going to be Goose Rhythm. We're going to talk about goose calling all the way from the basics to holding your hands, tongue position, up to more advanced things, putting notes together, double clucks, spit moans, whatever it might be. We're going to work our way to that point. So every day is going to be a little different. I don't necessarily have a criteria I'm going to follow. I'm going to try to teach you guys the best I can. I've had people for years ask me, Big Sean, why don't you make an instructional DVD or instructional whatever? I just haven't because so many people have, and I wanted to be able to do something different that would actually teach you better. And I haven't done it, and so now I'm doing it. We're doing it live together. So the first 10 minutes is going to be me talking, showing examples, going to play some audio of certain notes that I'm talking about. And then the last 5-10 minutes, we'll have some live Q&A. If you guys have questions pertaining to the certain note that I'm covering, then I will try to talk back and forth with you, try to help you on a personal level, and we can work on those notes together. Now, later on, even later on this week, I'm going to have other people hopping in with me. I'm going to have Brennan, some of my other staffers eventually hopping in, so you can hear them blow the calls the way they do. Everybody has a different style and a little bit different sound, so I want you guys to be able to hear several guys blowing the notes I'm talking about or sounds I'm talking about, and maybe it'll relate more to your style than maybe what I do. So first thing is, a lot of guys have asked me, about contest calling and calling in the field. Well, number one, I'm going to see if I can get rid of these comments there. I'm going to get rid of the comments right now, so I'm not going to answer any questions right now until I'm done talking and showing you guys. So, contest calling and field calling, 100% two different things, in my opinion. Now, everything I'm going to cover in all these series, in every video, is my opinion and what works for me on my hunts. It's not necessarily what works all the time, everywhere, every day. It's just what works for me. So I'm trying to bring you my experience. I've been hunting for over 25 years. I've been in the call industry for just over 20 years now. The first call I ever made was in my buddy's garage back in Indiana on a hand lathe, and we're turning acrylic with wood tools, and it was a total disaster. But I've been dipping into this for a long time, and of course been hunting even longer. So this is going to talk to you guys about hunting, calling birds in the field, not contest calling, no super crazy fancy notes till later on. And most of those crazy fancy notes I'll cover just because you guys want to learn them, but it's not necessarily something that I would do in the field or I do in the field at all. So when I contest call and when I goose call in the field, totally different. And if it's contest season, I'm blowing a contest call and a contest style, and it has different flow than when I'm coming into hunt season. When it's hunting season, I want to work on my goose rhythm, and I want to sound goosey, because it's nothing like when you're in the field. You don't go out to the field, see geese way out there, what up, and call at them like you're on stage. Guys that do that drive me nuts. And I'm not saying I haven't done that before, because when I was younger, I'm sure I did it. I know I have. I've had people tell me. And when you're younger, you're a good caller. You want to blow your call, right? Well, sometimes the best thing to do is take that thing and put it down. Let your decoys, your location, some flagging do the work for you. So, first thing I'm going to cover, we're going to start very, very, very basic today, guys. We're going to cover almost all the notes that I'm going to teach. Everything I'm going to do is going to be in our next generation series of calls. Here's a big kahuna right here. This is what I'm going to use tonight. Just so you guys know a little bit about parts and pieces. Inside this call, the guts, there's 3 parts to a gut set. You have your tone channel right there. That's our blue tone channel, inlaid with rubber, gives it a goosier sound. And you have your wedge. I'm going to blacken this one because I'm out of red ones, but here's a red wedge. And then, of course, you have the reed. That right there. So you have 3 parts. So later on, as I'm going through and I'm talking about the calls and the parts of the calls, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So we have the tone board, the reed, and the wedge. And all the wedge does is just hold everything tight and keeps it inside. So, and then you have the mouthpiece and the insert. Some people call them the barrel and the insert. So everybody can understand, mouthpiece, insert. Insert goes in the mouthpiece. Pretty simple, right? All right, so first thing we're going to have to talk about is when you get the call from us, it doesn't matter what call you get. If you have one from us or from another call manufacturer, doesn't matter. There's a lot of good calls out there. There's a lot of good calls that replicate geese and sound very similar to a Canada goose. But there's only a few calls that actually sound like a live Canada goose. And that's why I came out with the Next Generation series. I'm going to cover things that most guys haven't covered because maybe a call they're blowing is not capable of it. The sounds that come out of these Next Gen series goose calls is unlike any other call in the market, especially with the blue guts in them, the red, white, and blue guts, in a very thin shaved reed. These calls are 100% goose. They have flexible inserts. Everything's soft on them. The mouthpieces are soft to the touch, but not necessarily flexible. They're more rigid. If you guys ever checked on a goose's throat, where the sound actually comes out of a Canada goose, it's not hard, is it? No. It's soft. It's soft material, elastic, and rubbery. So, hence, that's why we came out with the Next Generation series of calls. Now, we still sell acrylic calls and wood calls and had different styles of guts, but first thing I'm going to talk about is all about tongue position. Well, let's do hands first. Okay, we'll talk about hands first. When you get the call, especially this one, there's a hole right there. And that hole is not a tone hole. It's actually a hole to get quiet. So if you're just blowing the call regular, I would say put that in the crotch of your hand. You guys have seen the same kind of style. Here's how you hold your call, blah, blah, blah. Same kind of deal. This is the basic way to hold your call. Set that hole, or whatever, if you just got a regular acrylic one, set it in there and wrap your fingers around it, like so. Okay? That's going to be your on hand right here. All the sound is going to come right through here. This is your off hand. Now this hand can come up here, it can come here, if you want to get a hollow sound, lots of places it can go. To be real honest with you, this hand is really irrelevant when it comes to learning. If you have your mouth cavity and your tongue positioned the right way, you don't need a hand at all. You can blow this call and make all the notes you want without your hands. What the hand does is it starts making the call easier and creates a little bit goosier sound for certain notes, but not all notes. So it's kind of a misinterpretation guys have had over the past 20 years of how important your hands are. To me, your hands are not nearly as important as your mouth cavity and your tongue position. So again, that's the basic way to hold the call like this. I hold mine to where I could just fit about a pencil inside of my hands. Okay, and then the air comes through there. If you want a deeper sound, you're looking for that low hollow sound, you can kind of blow into your hand, create a pocket. I'll cover a lot more of this later on too. This is just the introductory on how to hold it. Next thing is putting this call to your lips. I got an illustration. I'm not a good artist, okay? Don't yell at me for somebody said what it looked like earlier, and I'm like, no, it doesn't look like that. So get your mind out of the gutter. So I did my best rendition of drawing a illustration of the human male, basically male. I guess female too, except for out the Adam's apple thing. But the inside of the mouth, kind of a translucent view of the inside of the mouth when blowing a goose call. So I'm going to take this camera, I'm going to swap it around here. I'm sure this will be jiggly for you guys for a second, but that's just the way it goes. So we're going to go in tight on this one right here, okay? We're going to cover this main one right here. Here's the call, just so you guys kind of get an idea what's going on here. Here's your nose. Like I said, I'm horrible at drawing, but you'll get the point. Here's your nose. Here's your sinus cavity. Goes all the way back. your soft palate, which is that soft part, sits above your tongue, your gums, teeth, your lips, all right? Like I was just talking about, holding your lips and putting the call up to your lips is very important, all right? You got to have a good seal around there. You don't want air to escape either way. So you want to make sure that you get your lips on that call right as you bring it up. A lot of guys have compared it to bringing it up like you're drinking bottled water. Okay, as long as you have a good seal and you let all the air get into that call, don't do this, because then you're going to lose a lot of air. You're not going to get the right pressure into the call. Put your lips around it. Let the air get in there. Same thing without a hand. You don't want nothing to come out these sides. You don't want spit flying everywhere. Next thing is, you want to keep your cheeks tight. A lot of guys go. A short reed will not work puffing your cheeks. You have to keep your cheeks tight in and create a seal with the side of your tongue. All right. Now it's hard to show right here, but your cheeks are here. I don't know, but my pointer stick here is pretty fancy, but you want to keep the air. Here's just kind of an illustration of your tongue, how it sits inside your mouth. All right. What we're going to do today is show you how to get the buzz sound, the low growl sound. Here's the tip of my tongue, right here. Just like this. This is how it is in my mouth. The tip of my tongue never, ever, ever, ever moves. Ever. Never, never, ever moves, okay? But the front part of my tongue, all this, it will move, okay? But the tip, the actual tip of your tongue stays anchored. Now, mine actually sits right there on kind of the gum area of my teeth. Some people's tip like to keep it up here on their teeth a little bit. Mine sits a little bit lower. Okay, now what I'm going to show you guys, obviously with the correct seal, bringing your air up from your larynx, bringing it up over your tongue and into the call, is how this is going to work. You're not blowing it from inside of here. You're bringing the air up from in here and pushing it into the call. So your tongue starts in this position right here. Tip your tongue down. It's just kind of a lazy lay inside your mouth. Now, to get the buzz sound, to get the correct sound, you're going to eventually take your tongue and move it a little bit up and touch the top of your soft palate right there. So when you're blowing the call like this, like the tongue is regular, it sounds like this. Now, to get it that buzz sound and get it correct placement on your tongue, you slowly move your tongue up and forward a little bit. But the tip is still the same. This comes forward, and when it stops, the air's cut off, is when the note stops. So you can keep coming back to this illustration. Into the call, it's my tongue's going. And that's what I need to get you guys to get first, is that buzz sound. You got to get the buzz sound and the growl goosey sound before we're going to move on to a cluck. Because once you get that sound, then you're going to know your tongue's pretty much in the right spot. So you can keep coming back to this illustration. I'll show it to you guys one more time. But your tongue is going to come up. You guys will understand a little bit more when I start talking about it here in a minute. But I'm going to get this set back over here. Crank this down a little bit. So, take the call, and just like in this illustration here, I'll kind of set the camera so you can just barely see the illustration a little bit. But just remember, the tip of your tongue does not frickin' move. You cannot operate a short reed goose call and make it pop and have the correct sound by moving the tip of your tongue. If you can do that, good for you. You must be some kind of a freaking genius and magician, because it does not work for me or anybody I know. I've learned from all the best guys in the industry. I've been friends with Fred Zink for over 20 years now. I basically learned how to call goosey and have goose rhythm and call correctly from him. This is how he teaches. This is how I was taught. Grounds, a lot of these other guys, this is how they teach. This is what is the correct way to make the call sound goosey and have the right tone to it. So when your tongue's down, try to replicate it here, and you can kind of look on the illustration here. Okay, getting that buzz, right? You're making your air cavity smaller. As you're pushing your tongue up, right inside here, there's an air cavity is what I call it. And you're making this smaller, and you're creating more pressure with the same amount of air. A lot of guys have referred to it as a garden hose, holding your thumb over the end of a garden hose. The same amount of water is in there, but it's going further because there's more pressure on it. So it's kind of how you can look at it and understand what I'm saying. Same amount of air, but you're pushing your tongue forward and creating more pressure. Therefore, you're getting that buzz sound. Now, a Canada Goose, I'm going to let you guys kind of hear real quick the sound that we're going for today, which is basically just a buzz and the murmur. The murmur is not all growl and roar, roar, roar like a lot of people think it is. When you blow in a goose call, you don't necessarily growl into it. Everybody has a different way of teaching. It's more voice. Just like I'm talking to you guys right now, you can hear the deep part of my voice. Raw, 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 as I'm talking to you. So when you're going to the call, it's kind of the same thing. You want that. But to get the real buzzy, tubey, elastic sounds of a real Canada Goose, it's all about your mouth cavity, your air cavity right here, and how tight you make that and how much pressure you put on the reed. So here's, I don't know how this is going to sound, if this is even on. Here's kind of an idea. A bunch of seagulls in there too. But anyway, you kind of get the point. I'm trying to teach you guys right now is this. Now, the audio's not the best. I'm not sure what it sounds like on the phone. There's a bunch of seagulls and crap around there, but that's geese just hanging out, just chilling. They're not feeding. If they're feeding, their mouth is full of food, and they're not going to be able to make a lot of noise. The murmur and the basic buzz has been referred to by Fred Zink as a spacing call, and that's kind of what I refer to. It's not a feeding call. Geese do it all the time. They're just standing there with the head up. They do it all the time. So the basis for all the rest of the notes that we're going to learn is going to be that murmur. It's going to be that tubey and buzzy sound. In the back of the call, it sounds like this. You can hear my voice a little bit into it, but I'm not going crazy. I'm not gargling it or being real guttural with it. It's just my natural voice coming out, and I'm pushing pressure. Okay, that's the buzz I want you guys to get. When you get that buzz and you've got that buzzy sound, that tubey sound, then your tongue is in the right place. And when your tongue is in the right place, everything else is going to be based off that. Your clucks, spit notes, fast clucks, low clucks, everything else, okay? So, here's blowing clear without guttural at all. You can still get the buzz without even bringing any voice up. It's your mouth cavities in the right spot. Or your tongue's in the right spot. Now, if your tongue's laid back, it sounds like a party horn. Your tongue's not in the right spot. So here's my tongue flat. Okay, that's a huge part of calling. If you can get that buzz sound, you don't even need any hands. This first part right here, you don't even need any hands on the call at all. And now, once you get that buzz, then you can start using your voice a little bit more. You can hear how I start to incorporate my voice in that to get the really goosey sounds and the low sounds. Okay, now eventually tomorrow what we're going to do is we're going to cover the cluck. The cluck is the base for everything. That's going to take everything to the next level. But you got to get this right. Stop this. Go back and watch this again if you need to. And figure out how to get that buzz sound. Once you get that buzz sound, then you know your tongue's in the right place, and you can move on to actually breaking the reed over. Okay, when you break the reed over, it takes very minimal tongue movement, and all you do is add a little bit more air. But we're going to cover that tomorrow. So one more time, quick overview, and then I'm going to do some Q&A if you guys have any questions. But holding the call, basic way, you've seen it a million times, like you're drinking a water, drinking a pop. Make sure all the air gets in there. Don't cut nothing off. Don't put your lips halfway over it and cut it off. You're not going to have the right sound. You're not going to have the power you're looking for. Want to make sure all that air gets in there. Also, create a tight seal. No puffy cheeks. None of that crap. Keep your cheeks tight. Bring air up. Diaphragm. Bring it all the way up. That's the air you want right there. Not... Okay, create a seal inside your mouth. Your tongue starts arching up. It's flat, and then you can slowly arch it. Don't move the tip of your tongue. Okay, and right here, that's how it is. My tongue moves up and forward. It goes up and forward a little bit to create that buzz, all right? That's it right there. So, work on that today, for a week, whatever you got to do. Get that buzz, get the proper placement for your tongue, and get your mouth cavity figured out. And then we're going to move on to a cluck next. So I'm going to go back to some Q&A, see what we got here. All right. Let's see. We'll do a few minutes. Somebody said something about early season, Tom Reed, early season geese. There's a lot of things we can cover about early season geese, but we're going to get to that as these sessions go on. I'm going to let all these start popping up now, see who's going. If you guys have any questions about the beginning parts of blowing a short reed goose call, throw them up here. If they pertain to something and I can cover it, maybe you've heard a different way or you've learned a different way, I can go over those with you too. Here's what it sounds like. Here's a regular Big Kahuna in hedge with the standard gray guts in it. Same thing. You got to have the proper tongue placement and your air cavity correct in your mouth to get any kind of buzz out of it so you can get those sharp, goosey notes. Same thing. My tongue's flat. Tip is down my gums. I know you guys don't want to look at my nasty mouth, but see that pressure right there? It's almost like you've heard people put their fingers in their mouth and whistle, which I can't do. I sound like an idiot doing it, but that tongue is pushed forward, and you've got that little air cavity in front of there, and that's making a lot of pressure onto that reed. It's giving it that vibration, that buzzy sound. Once you have that sound and that buzz, then it's time to move on, and then we can work into some clucks like we're going to do tomorrow. Okay, get that buzz before you go anywhere else. Okay, it's very important. I think there's a lot of guys that can blow calls pretty well, but they blow them clear. They don't have that voice and that guttural sound to them or the tubey elastic sound. And I think that's very important for sounding like a goose. Later on, I'm going to talk about sounding like a goose, having the right tone, the right rhythms, octaves, everything to actually sound like a goose, not a goose call. So that's very important. I think that's just as important as being able to make all these fancy notes and doing all that kind of crap. So any questions, bring them on, guys, if you have anything. Call me Little Sean if I ain't losing much weight, bud. I may have lost some, but not too much. I quit drinking beer for a month. And that's been ridiculously hard, but So no beer for me for a month, just because I wanted to. So that probably helps some. Very basic. Yes, it's boring. Some of you guys probably already know how to blow a call, and you're like, yeah, whatever, I can get that. But I'm not going any further than that. We're going to talk about it day by day, and we're going to move slow so some beginners can watch this and figure out how to get that buzz. Okay, go to this drawing one more time. My sweet artistic talent just comes out sometimes. I just don't know what to do with myself. My cool fan that's in the way. Hey, we're working in the shop. This is down here in the basement. So, right here. This is the most important part of goose calling, right here. This spot between the call and your tongue, right here, that is the most important part of blowing a short reed goose call. If none of this is correct and you don't have the right dynamics in this area, you're not going to be able to blow that thing correctly or sharp or sound like a goose. So, rewind this, watch it again, and study this mouth cavity and how the tongue goes from laying flat. It's going up and forward. And what cuts it off is the top of your tongue hits your soft palate, roof of your mouth, and that stops the air. So you guys kind of understand what I'm saying. It's very basic. Go back and rewatch it if you need to. Hedge or acrylic, easier to learn on. It does not matter. For learning on a short reed call, it's all about the guts. I would suggest if you're just getting going and you're looking to, you can't blow a short reed at all, get something like we offer the Rookie Edition Big Kahuna. Get something with stock guts, something that's very, very, very easy to blow. Doesn't matter what's on the outside necessarily, how the call sounds. There's a little difference between wood and acrylic, but not a lot, especially to a beginner caller. You're not going to notice any different. So if you're looking for something that's going to last you a lifetime and it's actually going to sound like a goose, go with the next gen material, the softer material. This is different than any other call in the market, any other call in the industry. No other calls like this. It's going to give you a goosier sound. It's going to last you a lifetime. Acrylic and wood, it breaks. I mean, there's no doubt about it. If you don't know what the next gen material is, you can go back on the YouTube channel and you can watch some of our promos and you can see exactly. You run over with a car, hit it with a hammer, doesn't matter. So, it's basically is what I'm saying is the guts inside of the call. That's what's going to help you to learn to call a little bit easy, make it a little bit easier for you, and learn how to blow it a little bit easier. So, all right, guys, I'm going to get off here. I'm sure as we go on, we'll have some more Q&A. Guys will have more questions, and I'm also going to be doing the live Q&A on Wednesday. So still going to be doing that. So if you guys want to hop on Wednesday, say like 8 o'clock, we're probably going to still do it. It's going to be just wide open Q&A. If you want to do anything, ask any kind of questions, that's where you're going to do it. Chris, I'm a decent caller, but I find myself running out of breath and busting my call. Do I work on my lungs, start on calls at the top? If you're running out of breath, there could be several things. The call could be tuned way too hard. It depends on the call. It could be tuned too hard. You could be not presenting the air to the call correctly. That's a big thing too. A lot of guys blow air into it instead of bringing it up from the diaphragm. So make sure when you're bringing your air up, it's like you've heard it probably before, blowing on a pair of sunglasses to clean them off. You're bringing the air up from here. And between each note, you can take breaths and get air. So, fill up your lungs. Make sure your lungs are full. It goes back to, when I was even in high school, I was in choir. Might sound gay, whatever, but I learned a lot on breathing and how to control my breathing and to build up my lungs. So that might be something you want to check out. First of all, make sure your call's tuned easy to blow. And then after that, maybe work on some breathing exercises. Google breathing exercises. Maybe get those lungs built up a little bit. I don't know if you're a smoker or whatever it might be. So let's see. All right, guys, I'm going to get off here. So, If you're not following us yet, follow us on Instagram, Snap Chisel, of course YouTube, and you're on Facebook right now. Snapchat, Biggie822, the OG Big Sean. Like I said earlier, that's me, right? That's me, the OG, the original homie gangster, right? All right, I'm not gangster at all, actually, but pretend I'm gangster. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Hope everybody has a great night. Thanks for tuning in, joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to move on to the cluck. So tomorrow's going to be a little bit more fun, and we're going to be blowing the call a lot more. So see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.